Am I the a-hole for taking a long shower while my kid was crying? Story. My wife was sitting in the recliner watching her iPad right outside the kids' bedrooms. I figure I'm in the clear to take a long shower. When I turn the shower off, I hear my 3-year-old crying and screaming for daddy. I hurry. As I'm going through the family room, I look at my wife, sitting watching her iPad, and say, "You couldn't calm him down?" She says, "No, I tried 3 times. I go into his room and pick him up. He immediately stops crying and starts trying to catch his breath. I feel what I thought were tears dripping down my shoulder. I think, poor guy has been so upset for so long enough for my wife to come in 3 times. I lay him in bed and start tucking him in. He says, "I have a mess." I figure tears and snot. I grab wipes and tissue and turn the flashlight on my phone on. That's when I realized he was covered in blood. His first bloody nose, and it was bad, all over his face, arms, clothes, stuffy, blanket, and I'm covered. Those were not tears dripping down my shoulder. I get him cleaned up and ask my wife to shout the bloody items while I get him cleaned up. I'm tucking him in and I ask why he didn't let mommy help. He said, "Mommy didn't check on me. Somebody never checked on me." Now my wife is pissed at me for me expecting her to help. I'm pissed at her for not taking care of our son while I'm in the shower and she's watching her iPad, and I'm pissed that she's pissed I expected her to help. So who's the AH? Response 1, NTA. The biggest issue for me is the lying. At the very least, she could have been honest that she didn't go in. But it's also profoundly effed up to think that she didn't want to check on him. She's treating the idea of checking on her kid the same way a part-time cashier would treat having to mop a floor when it was, supposedly, their coworker's turn to do it. It isn't a job she gets to clock in and out of. She has to be present and show up at all times. And if you were in the shower and couldn't hear them crying, then it was definitely her chance to act. Reply 1, your second paragraph is spot on. This is a family member in distress, not a crafty job you don't want to do. Reply 2, and a family member who is young enough to not be able to fully help themselves many times on a daily basis. Reply 3, right? He's 3 for F's sake. Mate, my son is just about to turn 33. I still couldn't ignore him needing help. And I don't. Reply 4. I assume she is the birth mother? How can someone who carried that child inside herself just switch off like that? Once a parent, always a parent. I share a 5-year-old and wouldn't dream of doing anything like that, and my wife is even more protective. Reply 5. Exactly. Even if she was a stepmother, how could you? But to be that child's own mother giving exactly 0 craps is cold. It's a small being in distress, not on. My husband isn't biologically my granddaughter's grandfather. No matter, the sun still rises and sets with that child. Response 2. NTA, your wife is TA. You are both parents. Even if she thought you should be checking on him when you didn't, she should have gone and checked. She should have wanted to. I can't imagine sitting and watching a movie while my child cried because that was not my problem. And the fact that she lies tells you she knows she should be ashamed of her behavior. And she's right. What she did was borderline abusive. Reply 1. Sounds like O.P. S wife is more of a child than his 3 years old. Too engrossed in her iPad to check on her crying child, and then has the audacity to throw a temper tantrum over being called out for being a crafty parent. The nerve of some people. I swear. Reply 2. Seriously. When my daughter was small, every time she laughed, it sounded like she was crying. I ran up the stairs every single time and she'd say, "I was just laughing." As a parent, you check on your kids. You don't just sit there. Reply 3. Exactly. Do I get mad when it's supposed to be my husband's turn, or he doesn't communicate clearly with me and I have to go take care of our son when I should be getting a break? Sure. And this is rare to his credit. Do I allow my child to suffer because it's not my turn, i.e. F no. She's an awful person to do something like that. It's one thing to let them cry for a literal 5 minutes to get your composure to deal with them. It's quite another to just not give a crap and let them suffer. Reply 4. So usually through our kids' early years, my partner and I would know which of us was on duty if we were doing different things. Firstly, we both knew that activities that meant a temporary loss of hearing, like a shower or going out to the garage, meant we temporarily swap. Secondly, Even if I knew it was my partner's duty time, if it goes more than a little bit over their usual time to respond to the crying, I'd start to be worried not only about the child, but if my partner was okay. This really isn't normal behavior. I'm not heading straight to abusive mother, necessarily because this is just a snapshot, but in OP's shoes, I'd be asking myself, what has gone wrong here? Is the mother going through something with their mental health to sit there and listen to the crying all the time? Are there other signs of her not wanting to tend to the child? I'd be wondering if either she was unwell or if I'd married a total bitch. Reply 5. All excellent points I agree with. We do the same thing, and I think most couples who are parents do it too. Keep an ear out and step in if needed, even when off duty, because kids need help and aren't punch cards, laugh out loud. They need you when they need you, and our son has hit the stage of having a preferred parent. I have the boobs, so hi, I'm preferred parent right now, and sometimes I want to climb out of my skin. Love him, but I am touched out over here, laugh out loud. This definitely warrants a conversation with the wife on the why, and how this can never happen again. Response 3. Your wife lied to you about having checked on him. I think that this is a huge issue and it needs to be confronted, not the a-hole. Reply 1. Right. Regardless of the whole ignoring her child thing, which is so messed up all in itself, the fact that she said I checked on him 3 times, not once or twice, but 3 times. Not only did she lie, but kind of tripled down on the lie. So you checked on your kid 3 times, saw him covered in blood and went back to your iPad, or you ignored him and made an over-exaggerated lie. Neither are a good look, not the a-hole. Reply 2, and even if she did check on him any amount of times, which she obviously didn't, why would you then leave the kid crying in a room because you couldn't calm them down? Why wouldn't you stay and continue to try to comfort them until dad came to attempt? Also, what parents doesn't go and check in on a crying child despite the other parent's name being called after a min of not hearing the crying stop because your partner got there? She is a crap-ass mom and a crap-ass wife. Reply 3. I was also thinking that, like, did you walk in, say calm down and walk back out? That's the most useless parent ever. I'm a mom and this crap absolutely broke my heart. Like, should I have not picked my kid off the floor when she fell because she was calling for daddy? It's absolutely absurd. Reply 4. Yeah, I was gonna say. That part seems like the most questionable of the entire story. Really sticks out as the what the hell of it all to me. Reply 5. This is the real issue that needs to be addressed. She lied to her husband about care for their child. They need to fix that immediately. Their marriage is in danger, and more importantly, the safety of their child is at risk if they can't rely on each other to be honest about the care they've provided their own child. This is the show-stopping tip of a divorce and custody iceberg. Response 4. NTA. I cannot imagine ignoring a screaming child, and screaming cries of bloody nose fear are very, very different from, I don't want to go to bed. Yes, I want some attention cries. Any decent mother immediately knows the difference. Reply 1. There's definitely a difference in cries, and even if she couldn't tell, there's no reason to not check in and just be like, are you okay? The few times my kids have cried out in their sleeps, it's either they're throwing up or a bad dream. You can't just leave them alone without knowing the situation. Reply 2. I am sure my comment will get lost, so piggybacking my point here. If it had only been tears and not a nosebleed, she would have gotten away with being a lazy lump of crap and lying about checking on the child. Makes me wonder how many times in the past she has ignored the child and lied about it. Reply 3. This. And the kid calls out for his dad instead of his mom. He is used to being ignored by his mom. She sounds like a terrible mother. Reply 4. Right. Also her lie about checking in 3 times during the amount of time it took OP to shower tells she has no concept of the amount of time it reasonably takes to calm a distressed child down. Even if I am doing a full work shower, exfoliate, shave, wash my long curly hair, scrape feet, moisturize, leave in hair mask, face potions, I don't think it takes more than about 30 minutes. I doubt OP took even half as long and he was rushing, so I will wager this was a body wash / shampoo combo, in and out job. Reply 5. I can tell the difference between my puppy grumbling about going in his crate at night, but not distressed, and the crying sound he makes when he actually needs to get out for a potty break. Even at 2 a.m., I jump straight out of bed to take him out if he needs it. I could not stand the thought of leaving him needing help/comfort and being distressed for a second longer than absolutely necessary. Response 5. Your wife is undoubtedly, indisputably, undeniably, unmistakably the a-hole in this situation. You are undoubtedly, indisputably, undeniably, unmistakably not the a-hole in this situation and a great dad. The fact that your kid called for you makes me wonder about the level of neglect your child must be feeling from your wife, and her lying to you makes me wonder what else is happening that you are taking at face value but is hiding information you need. But given you chose this partner to raise a child with, are these previously intermittent tendencies becoming more frequent and / or obvious, or does it feel like she is dissociating from her life? There may be a medical angle to consider. Best of luck. Edited to add, a little clarification I didn't realize was necessary. The kid calling for dad doesn't make mom a terrible parent, and no one has said it's indicating what level of neglect has this mother done to this kid. Coupled with the instance that OP has written about, context, it could be an indication that the kid is feeling like certain needs aren't being met by mom, and it could be escalating to feeling neglected. In this case, mom not attending to her hysterically distressed child may not be a first experience. Hope that helps clarify that this is about what the child's perspective could be, since children communicate more with their behavior than words. Response 6, NTA. I don't understand why your wife thought attending to both your kid wasn't her job while you weren't available. That doesn't make sense to me. Update me. Reply 1. I agree. Not the a-hole. I understand that your wife wants you to help, but you were in the shower and she was just watching on her iPad. Is she saying that watching on her iPad is more important than knowing what's wrong with your son? OP, your wife is the AH. Response 7, NTA at all. Your wife, however, is a huge one. Who sits there casually while their child is screaming? Poor baby. Totally understandable that you figured she would check on him while you showered. She sounds like a lazy parent. I get maybe she was tired, but damn, didn't even check on him once. Anyone saying this story is fake is weird. Sure, it could be, but also, terrible moms do exist. People act like it's so unbelievable when the mom is the bad parent. Reply 1. I wonder if people are thinking it's fake because of this story posted yesterday, I think, where the mom was in the shower and the dad didn't calm the kids. Enough of the details are the same that it kind of triggers my someone flipped the genders and reposted switch. But yeah, crappy parents are crappy, regardless of gender. And reply 2, it's the nobody came to check on me from the kid that makes me think it's fake. No child would say that, at least it wouldn't be phrased in such a way. The only reason that kind of exact phrasing would be used would be to reinforce the rest of a fake story. Response 8, my baby mama used to do crap like that back when we were still living together. Ultimately, she abandoned our kid when he was 2. So, big effing red flag based on my experience. Response 9. Your wife is horrible. Your kid deserves better. What really gets me is she straight up lied to you about it. That's so wrong. Reply 1. This. She could have just been honest. She even could have said, he was crying for daddy, so I was waiting for you. But the lie was intentional. That's messed up. Bad mom and bad wife. Response 10. Not the a-hole. Your kid needed help, and it sounds like your wife kind of dropped the ball while just chilling with her iPad. It's totally understandable to expect her to check on him. Like, come on, he was literally bleeding. Response 11. I tried 3 times. Man, I'm sorry, but your wife doesn't sound fit to be a parent. TV is more important than her child's safety, and she lied about trying to calm him down. I would seriously consider getting your child away from her. She sounds like a narcissist, and those people are dangerous, especially to little ones. Reply 1. Especially after reading his last post about his wife accusing him of gaslighting her. It's starting to look like she has narcissistic tendencies. Response 12. NTA. You gotta wonder what was so damn important on that iPad? To lie about checking on a crying child? That's pretty low. Reply 1. Not even pretty low. That neglectful, extremely low. I would honestly be concerned to leave my child alone with her again, depending on how long the child was actually crying. But even then, checked in 3 times. Like, what else is she lying about when it comes to the child's daily well-being? Response 13. NTA, but your wife sure is. She was lying, or she just left him with a bloody nose and went back to her iPad? Response 14. This is a joke, right? Your wife is sitting there glued to her iPad while your kid is screaming for help? Your wife should have checked if there is something wrong with your child if he hadn't calmed down after 3 times, not continue watching on her iPad, and now she's mad at you for expecting her to be a parent. It's absolutely ridiculous that she's shifting the blame onto you, not the a-hole. Your wife is the AH. Response 15, NTA. And I say this as a mom who is a wheelchair user, so getting up to check kids is a major pain in the ass sometimes. What she did was neglectful. Kids don't forget those kinds of experiences. Parenting is a full-time 24/7 gig. If your kid's crying, you need to at least go find out why before deciding they need to cry it out or whatever. Like, geez, what if he was crying because something was on fire or there was a life-threatening emergency? Response 16, NTA. I would have walked out of that room after I got him put back to bed, called her a effing liar, and then I'd ask her what kind of mother just sits there and plays on a tablet while her child is screaming for her. And then I tell her to sleep on the couch, and that we can discuss where our relationship is going in the morning. Response 17. NTA, why is your wife pissed at you for expecting her to help parent her own child? I also read your post about her frequently totaling cars, assuming this is the same wife. Is she even okay to be around the kids or take care of them or drive them around? Jesus Christ. You have bigger things to worry about than her not checking on your kid with a bloody nose. It's the fact that she likely lied to you about it, was dismissive of your child's suffering, and didn't give a F about helping you. Short of her having a brain tumor or a legitimate medical condition contributing to her personality dysfunction, why are you with this manipulative brat? Reply 1. Out of all the great responses on this post, this is the one I hope he reads and realizes he should ask himself exactly this with exactly these details. Response 18. Is this creative exercise a social experiment to weirdly similar post that was here a bit ago? When wife showered while kid cried and hub watched like pole? Response 19. I'm not even a parent and I couldn't sit there and listen to a child scream and cry for someone like that without checking it out. That's beyond AH. That's negligence. Response 20 info. Why were you showering at midnight? Had you been out all night while your wife was in charge? Is she a stay-at-home mom? Was she working on the iPad? Is your 3-year-old's upset comments about mom not checking on him the only proof she didn't? I have 3 kids, 7, 5, 3. They're not the most reliable people. If I believed everything they said, especially when upset, I'd be crazy, and if he was screaming for daddy, it may 100% be mommy just wasn't good enough. Was there any sort of sleep training attempt happening? How often is your wife in charge of the kids at night versus you? I feel like there is missing info here, or I can't imagine why you're staying with someone who is obviously neglectful of your child. Reply 1. I thought I was the only one who wanted more info. Hypothetically, the mom could have been watching the kids all day and was burned out, so didn't immediately go to check on the screaming. From his story, she checked up on him at some point. It's not like she never did. I was a daddy's girl growing up, so I could see myself calling for my dad instead of my mom at that age. People jumping down the mom's throat are a bit biased.